PRIMO. Hey everybody, welcome to PRIMO NUTMEG. I'm your host Steve, and joining me today is Esther Bernstein. Hey Esther.
Hi.
Now, you are actually Producer McG's grandma, and we've been talking about having you on the show for a while, and I'm really glad that we could finally do this. And I believe you were actually born the same year as my great-grandfather, and it's funny because his birthday would have been coming up in the next few weeks. So
Mine was August 1st, 1926.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think his was the 26th or right around then.
Yeah, because I know, what's his name, Tony Bennett. I'm 3 days older than Tony Bennett.
Really?
And my birthday's August 1st, his is August 3rd. Huh. And I have pictures of him because I love Tony Bennett. I left my heart in San Francisco. That's what he used to sing.
Have you ever seen him play?
I certainly did. As a matter of fact, I have a picture with him.
Oh, so you got to meet him?
Oh, yes, definitely,
Nice.
definitely. We have a very dear friend, Mike Renzi, who was his music director, and he traveled with Lady Gaga.
Really?
Oh, yes, and Tony Bennett, and they traveled all over Europe, and it was, and then we, as a matter of fact, Susan, for my birthday, she knows I love Tony Bennett, so she had tickets to go. What's that? There was some kind. Yeah, to go to the show there.
Awesome.
So, but I saw Tony, my Mike Renzi, who loves me. All of a sudden, he loves me. And I said, Mikey, I said, Susan wants to get me for my birthday. She wants me to get me, to go to the show. I says, and I know it's going to be very sold out. And how many people? He says, what do you mean? You're going to be my guest. You're going to be my guest. VIP seats.
Awesome.
5th row. And then we went upstairs when they were leaving. We went upstairs, and Tony Bennett came out, and I went over him. I says, Tony Bennett, I says, I fell in love with you when you lost your heart in San Francisco. And so Susan said, was it all right if you take pictures with my grandmother? Took pictures.
That's wonderful.
Great. We're into music because Susan sings beautifully, my daughters, and he plays. And my son, he's the head of the music department in Newport. He was the jazz. And
It's impressive.
Yeah, but it wasn't always jazz. It was rock and roll. It was crazy. It was crazy in the beginning. Wasn't easy. But they've ended up with jazz, and it was very good.
Well, what kind of music do you like?
I like jazz.
Yeah.
But I like I volunteer at the classical music in Newport, where they go to all the the mansions,
Right.
and we have people coming from all over, I like that too. But mostly jazz.
Were you ever into big band music?
Well, when I was young, I used to see Frank Sinatra. We used to go to the movie theater to see Frank Sinatra, and we used to swoon. Oh man, he was like a stick, and it was interesting. It was very
Yeah, that was the kind of music my great-grandfather did, like big band, swing.
right.
Have you ever heard of Bobby Kay?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, and all of them. I love the big band. That's what we started with, the big band, because
Right.
in 26 it's and all of them were there.
So you didn't like rock and roll when that first came out?
I didn't like the Beatles. I thought they were crazy. My kids loved them. I thought they were wild, but that was the time, that
Right.
they had there.
What about Elvis or Bill
Elvis
Haley and the
Presley,
Comets?
he didn't turn me on, Elvis,
No?
for some reason. No, but the kids loved him. It was good. Frank Sinatra,
Yep.
Tony Bennett.
Well, Frank Sinatra's interesting because he really had like two careers, right?
Absolutely.
He came out in the 40s, I believe, right? And he was kind of like a teen star, and then he
Right.
went away for a while.
And then he went, and then he was doing movies. He did the movies.
Right,
and
yeah, the Rat Pack
Yeah,
movies.
yeah. Ava Gardner. He left the wife, Ava Gardner. It was crazy for Ava Gardner. He had, and I he was good.
Well, right before we started recording, you were trying to tell me about a movie that just came
Yes,
out, right? The
gotta
Glass
tell you,
House,
the
is that what it's
the
called?
Glass Castle.
Glass Castle?
Now I could relate to that because when as I said, we were poor and we didn't have any money, and my father, he was a little bit of a wheeler and a dealer. He was so so when we had to go move to different places, so he used to go. No,
Do you mean move around the country or
no.
move around
When
the city?
we lived in a house, when we lived in an apartment, we lived in an apartment.
Okay.
And
that was in
then when
Brooklyn?
we had to pay rent, he moved to another place.
Okay.
Okay, so I just said okay, that it's
Gotcha.
all right.
No, I'm following you.
Yeah.
I'm just, is this in Brooklyn?
In Williamsburg, in Brooklyn, right. I was
Williamsburg?
born and brought up in Brooklyn.
Okay.
I never lost my accent. After 60-something years, how many years, I never lost it. But it was a fun time there. You know what I mean? Everybody was poor. Everybody was, and it was.
Well, that was during the Depression, right?
Yeah, right.
So.
Right. It was, and it wasn't easy, but it was fun. You know what I mean? We had a good time there. But I'm talking about this, the castle, because it's a true story. Now, her father was an alcoholic, which my father never drank, as far as that. He wasn't an alcoholic. But the father would take, you'll have to see the movie just to see it. He would just live, they would live in shacks where there wasn't any hot water or there wasn't any water. Wasn't very good. But then I can relate because my aunt, there are things there that I could relate with my family. My aunt, she married this man who he didn't believe in working. He didn't want to give the capitals the money, whatever it was. So he used to walk the streets and he used to read books and he'd go to the library. But he instilled upon his daughter that she was beautiful and she was smart and she was intelligent. So I could relate to them because the one who wrote the book, she was a true story, it was very good. So it was interesting. It was very good. I liked it.
So did you have a big family when you were growing up?
My sister and I, we were only 15 months apart. She passed away 3 years ago. And it sometimes my husband passed away. I had a wonderful husband. My Stanley was very good. He was a wonderful husband.
How long were you married for?
He died he died 37 years ago. And we were married, I think, maybe 30-something years at the time when we were married, 35 years. And he was the sweetest thing. He was just wonderful. He was I could never do any wrong. He put me up on a pedestal, and if he was mad at me, he used to call my daughter Susan. He says, "Your mother." I used to work at the alcohol rehab at the Naval Hospital.
Okay.
And lots of times I used to bring some of the kids home, and we used to talk. It was very nice. And he used to call Susan up. He says, "Your mother." He says, "My God." So I says to him, "Stanley, are you mad at me?" He says, "No, what do you mean I'm mad at you? I'm not mad at you. Why should I be mad at you?" He was the sweetest thing. So lots of times I just talked to Stanley.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, you actually, from what I hear, you had a lot of guys coming after you. When you were
Not
coming
really.
Up, right?
Whatever they are, I flirt with all the guys, and the wives aren't even jealous of me. I don't know why.
Well, I heard that one of the guys who either you dated or flirted with at some point was Mel Brooks. Is that true?
Oh, yes, in school.
Really? So you guys went to school together?
Oh, yes, in Williamsburg, when I lived in Williamsburg. I dated him one night.
Really?
Dated him one night, yes.
So how'd that date go? What happened?
No beauty. He wasn't a beauty. He wasn't even funny.
Well, first of all, do you remember him asking you out?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I remember he
So
wanted.
what happened there?
So we
How
went
did Mel
out,
Brooks
and
ask you
we
out?
went out, and we came home. And
No, but when he asked you to go on the date, do you remember,
yes.
do you remember how he came up
No,
to
we
you?
went to school together. We
Okay.
went, of course, I have him in my yearbook. We were school together, and he asked me out, and I figured, well, I went out with him, and it was awfully funny. And so when we came back, he wanted to kiss me. And I didn't have any attraction to him, So I went and I ran right up the stairs. I ran up the stairs.
That's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah. But I'm sorry because look at how he ended up.
Yeah, right?
Fantastic.
Was he funny back in school? Was he like a class clown?
No, he wasn't.
No?
He wasn't. But
Huh, that's interesting.
But
I figured
when I-
like that kind of comedian
Yeah.
type, they'd always be
yeah,
kind
but
of a
when I
joker.
was brought up in Williamsburg, we had a lot of very talented people there. They used to put on shows and plays. It was very all the people were very talented. It was very good, and it was it was a good time. It really was. We were poor, but everybody was poor. And it was, yeah, and everybody was very good. And we were, like I said, we were on welfare growing up. And, but it was a good life. It was a fun life. It was good. And let me see, there's so many stories I can tell, but I'm trying to think of which ones. Ask me questions.
Okay. Well, you were going to high school during the war, right? So what was...
Oh, I got to tell you one story about boyfriends.
Okay.
Okay. This is a funny story. If you want funny. I met this, I must have been attractive because, when we were growing up at school, because there was one girl that was prettier than I am. But she won the prettiest girl, but I was the second one. And
Okay.
Not that I'm such a beauty now, but anyway, I am.
You are.
So
Listen, you dressed up to come here. You got the pearls on and
That's right.
everything. That's very nice.
Okay. And then, so when we were at so he took me out. He came from, he used to, I don't know, his name was Bill.
Okay.
And he must have been 10 years older than I was. And I was still at high school. And he really was, he liked me and was very, and he used to take me every week. He used to come over and he'd bring me a dozen roses. And we used to sit in the house with a dozen roses sitting right here, a dozen roses.
Wow.
Okay. But he took a room next door. The lady was renting rooms to people. So he took a room next door so he could be next to me. Now, I was only 17 at the time. I wasn't, and so he was there, and he brought me roses, and a gardenia, and he put a ring in the, and I says, "Oh, Bill, I like you, but I don't love you." I says, "What kind of ring?" I mean, he says, "No, I want to marry." I said, "Bill, I'm sorry, but I don't feel that way about you." So that was it, and he was very heartbroken. All of a sudden, I'm in the house, talking in the house, and all of a sudden they say, "He's on the roof. He's on the sill. He's on the sill. He's on the sill. He's on the sill." So I said, Bill, I opened the window. I said, "Bill, I'll marry you. Don't jump. Don't jump on." It was the cat. There was a cat on the sill. So he thought, I said, don't, please don't jump. I'll marry you. Crazy stories, yes, that was, I have a lot of stories there.
Well, it sounds like you were pretty popular with the guys. If you got
Well,
Mel Brooks,
there
you're
was a
running
few-
away from
there-
Mel Brooks.
There
the
was a
guys
few of
asking-
them. Yeah, there was a few of them that kind of had nervous breakdowns. I liked them, but I didn't love them. A few of them. It was very interesting. And even now, what my son says to me when they said with the boyfriend, he says, "Now take a number. You like in the bakery." You take a number for her, you know what I mean? She's got so many boyfriends, you got to take a number. You have beautiful dimples. Did anyone tell you that?
I have heard that. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, yeah, you graduated in 44, right?
Yeah.
So that was during the war. So I just wonder, that's like the height of U.S. being in World War II.
What I did when I graduated, I worked for the stock market.
Okay.
First, I try to get a job at night. I wanted to go because you can in New York you can get college. You have college degrees. So I thought I'd take up accounting. I went to night school, but there was so much homework with accounting, right. And I was so popular, I didn't have a chance to do the homework.
You probably get guys to do the homework, right?
That's it. Forget it. No. But I did. So I worked for the stock market for about, I don't know, about a year or so.
So what did you do on the stock market?
I put up the stocks. We used
to
really? Type the stock.
So as the prices were changing, you were typing it in there. Okay.
It was very interesting.
Would that go up on a display, or that would go in?
No, on display.
Because they had those stock tickers. Then,
you're right.
Too, right.
That's what they used to go around the band. Go around and we should do the thing. It was very interesting. It wasn't interesting. It was boring.
It's still a great job, though, right?
It was a job.
Who was your employer? The stock exchange was actually your employer?
And I worked at night there. And then coming home from work, it was dark. And I didn't want to, when I got out of the subway, I'd had to walk maybe 2-3 long blood streets, the gas station. So I went to them. I said to them, I says, I feel as though it's dangerous me walking back, going home. And so they gave me a job to go in the afternoon, which is good. So it was a nice job. And then I met my husband.
How'd you meet him?
Well, when my family came over from Europe, they came over. And so their real name was Skipka in Russia. And when they came here in Providence, Rhode Island, Dr. Perry Bernstein sponsored them. So instead of making it difficult, everybody changed their name to Bernstein.
Okay.
I was a Bernstein before I married a Bernstein.
Oh, really?
My husband's name was Bernstein, too.
That's funny.
But they're no relation because it was a Skipka before. So then, yeah.
Okay.
My name is Esther Bernstein. My Jewish
So your
name is Esther.
families knew each other? No? Okay.
Okay, nothing to do with my family. Didn't know it. So anyway, so they all came to Providence. Now,
Yep.
my father was a rebel, and he decided, and he was self-learned. He was slow. He read books, and so he was the only one that moved to New York.
Okay.
And when he moved to New York, he met my mother and married my mother. So we lived in New York, but the rest of the family lived in Providence. Mm-hmm. Now, when my sister got engaged, my aunt made a party for my sister. And she invited my cousin, who was my age, her friends, to come to the party. So my husband came in with some girl that he was going with, and he fell in love or something. He followed me around like he was in the house, and I didn't need it because I had so many boyfriends in New York. Right. I didn't need it. But he was just, so he followed with me. So, and he was, and so that's how I met my husband. And so then, and he was just the sweetest thing.
What about your story?
What, darling?
The story with
the girlfriend.
The girlfriend and the record.
When my mother had detached retina, and I was taking care of my mother in New York, so I had to give up my job to take care of my mother. So when we came to Providence, my sister, when I came to Providence, so my aunt says, "Why don't you stay and rest up here? Stay and stay here for a while before you go." So I did, and we used to go to the shows. And I didn't know that my future husband Stanley was there. So I was with because I was very close to my cousins, and I remember once I was upstairs and talking to my cousins, and all of a sudden I hear a ruckus downstairs. To the fighting. You told me you were going to the movies with your mother, and you came here. Comes all of a sudden, I go downstairs. This girl that he was going with when he first met.
Right.
All of a sudden, she says she took he was going to play a record. She says, "You told me that you were going to go take your mother to the movies, and here you are. You found another girl, and and she took the record and hit him over the head with the record." So I said, so she says, "And you?" She looks at me. "It's your fault." I says, "I didn't even know he was here. I really didn't know he was down there." She says, "Yes, it's all your fault." She says, "I came." But do you know anything about Providence? Anyway,
no, not really. Just the roads are bad.
It was raining. It was raining. There were one bus and three buses. She had to come to see my aunt to visit there, and she came in. It was, and she started crying, and I says, "Please," I says, "I didn't even know him. I didn't even know."
Right.
But afterwards, we got to be. He used to come to Providence. He used to come to New York. He didn't even. He was he used to con his friend who had a car. He didn't have a car. He used to con his friend to come drive him to New York every weekend.
Really?
And yes,
what did he tell his friend?
He used to say, "Come, I'll meet the girl," because I had friends, He says, "Come on, we'll go." He had my mother didn't even know who I was marrying. He had all the boys coming to the house. She didn't know who it was.
That's funny. So what made you fall in love with him? I mean, there's something he did?
He was just a very sweet. It was just something special about him that I It was, and he was, and funny, of course, when my sister got married, he came to the wedding. No, he was my partner, so we invited his mother and father to the wedding. So when we were there, the father says, "Now, Esther," he says, "he doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep. All he does is think about you." He says,
Jeez.
he says, "You got to marry." I says, "Is he pregnant?" I says, "I'm not pregnant." But he says, "You got to marry." He says, "He's just pining away for you." So,
Wow.
but I loved him anyway, and he was a wonderful husband. He was the sweetest thing. I mean, he was just fantastic.
Sounds like it.
He was. He really was. He was
Well,
just.
I actually just recently got engaged. And,
Oh, congratulations!
Thanks.
Tell me about your girl now.
Well, she's beautiful.
And she says you have nice dimples.
Yes, she likes my blue eyes too.
Good.
actually.
Yes, that's right too.
But we're actually getting married at the end of November, so it's a pretty short engagement.
Now, where were you? Where were you getting? Where in Connecticut?
Yep. There's a place in Bolton. I guess I could plug it. It's actually strange. It's where my parents had their prom together in Bolton. And that's where we're getting
It's
married.
meant to be. Isn't that something?
It's strange because I didn't even know that was the case until after the fact. It's called a Villa Louisa.
I like the name.
Yeah. I think it used to have a different name, but yeah, the engagement, we're only going to be engaged for about 5 months or something like that. How long were you engaged for?
I think about a year.
Really?
I think about a year. And then I moved to Providence, and I lived with my mother-in-law. And
So you left the stock exchange job.
Oh, before that, I left the stock exchange. Yes, and then I lived because he just got out of the service at the time, and there
Okay.
was
So he was actually in the war.
yeah.
Where did he
yeah.
serve?
Yeah, he was in the army.
Okay. Was he in, so he was in Europe? was that
Yeah,
right?
no, right here he stayed in.
Okay.
Yeah,
My great grandpa, the same thing. I
You're
think
right.
he
was.
was in the Air Corps and he
Yeah,
stayed in
the
Massachusetts.
army. I don't know what he was. He was in because I met him after he got out of the service.
Okay.
And so what'd you get? $26 a month or something when they got out of there. I don't know how much they didn't have. So I lived with my mother-in-law. Now Stanley was the youngest child. There was a difference that his oldest sister was maybe 15 years older than he was. Every 5 years she had another child. And my mother-in-law was very worried. Stanley used to go to the bathroom. "Stanley, are you all right? Are you okay?" He used to get the chicken, and I used to get the fat from the steak, whatever it was, So, but it's okay. I figured, I loved him, so I was good too. And then when we moved to Newport, he was very good to my family because my mother and father lived with us for a while when we lived in Newport.
That's nice.
Yeah, and so he was very sweet. He loved kids. He loved teenagers, and he loved kids, and he was just a sweet, nice man. I loved him.
So have you lived in Rhode Island since then?
I lived in Rhode Island. I lived in Newport for 64 years,
Wow.
65 years.
Same house?
No, my husband, if you had to put a nail in the wall, he moved. And we had 4 houses in Newport, not
Wow.
Middletown, all different places.
How often did you move? Every couple of years?
Well, whenever they had to fix, like when my son got bar mitzvahed, so we bought this beautiful house, and we had a nice house, nice houses, and then we had there, and then where I live now, when we moved there, I said to Stanley, "If you move," I said, "you'll have to carry me out in the box," because you had to pack and you have to take. It was such a chore,
Yeah. Actually, I just recently, I'm buying a house for my family, so I'm kind of in the process of moving in, helping them move out, and it's very
not
tiring.
Easy. It's very tiring, and if you move 4 or 5 times, but I love where I live now. I'm overlooking the Eastern Beach. I'm overlooking the water. It's just beautiful.
Nice.
So I said, Stanley, you'll have to take me out in the box. I'm not moving anymore. That's all. If you want me to move out, yeah. And he's just a sweet man. And I have two lovely children. Susan is just the sweetest thing, and my
Yes, she is.
Alan. You love Alan too. He's a lovely person, and I have had a nice life. It really is. I had a very nice life. Everybody is so nice and loving, And everybody's very good to me. I don't know why. I just said, hi, how are you? And then right away, they're in love. What can I tell you?
Well, what goes around comes around. I'm sure you're nice to other people, and
Yeah.
they're nice to you
You
back.
get what you give in this world, right?
Yeah, that's
Very
true.
good. So that's it.
So I'm looking at my bullet points that I actually had your family prepare. There's one in here that says there was a scandalous affair in her family. Do you care to talk about that?
Well, if this is going to go out, I don't want to hear people say about this. There was one person that had an affair with the sister's husband, but I'm not saying anything. That's about as far as it goes. I don't want to do that. I don't want that. If it was a private thing, it would be different. But I don't want to talk about that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, actually, I'm going to take another break. I'm going to take a break here to get another beer. Do you want a beer? Do you drink at all?
No, I don't drink.
You don't?
I had a little
Not a
wine,
drop?
but that's it. No.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to take a break, and can we play a song that from my great grandfather's band?
I would love to hear
Okay,
it
so
because
we'll-
I'm a music person. Wherever there's music, that's where I go.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to play a song from Bobby Kay, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Now, you have a story about your kids that you would like to share.
Yes, I want to share about the kids. Alan must have been, I don't know how old Alan was. Alan was 4, and Susan was 6. And we were going into, and Alan was very hyper. He was very hyper. And 60-something years ago, you do not have car seats.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So I was driving, and we had a shower or something and let me see, when we were in Newport in Providence. Okay, so I was driving, and my mother was sitting in the middle, Susan, and my mother was at the end, and Susan was sitting in the middle, and he was in the back, and he was going back, going like. So my mother says, "Alan," he says, you're gonna have an accident. We're gonna have an accident. Don't. You're not supposed to do that. And then mother's driving. So he says, you're not my mother. So Susan says, that's a terrible thing you said to Nana. You broke one of the 10 Commandments, because she was going to Sunday school. That was a terrible thing. I says, yes, you're right, Susan. Tell me, what commandment did he break? You shall not commit adultery. Now, Nana was the adult, right? I said, that's right, Susan. That's a terrible thing. And he puts his head down, and he was embarrassed.
That's funny.
So we came home. And I said to Stanley, when I'm talking, Stanley said, did you have a good time? I said, we had a wonderful time. But you know what Alan did? What he do? He wasn't very nice to Nana. He says, well, why not? He says, he did it bad. He broke one of the 10 Commandments. What was it? You shall not commit adultery. He says, Alan, you didn't. You didn't. That to me, I thought was very funny. That is funny. Yes, that's it. And that I thought was very. And he was very. He was just. Both my kids are very nice. Not that I'm prejudiced, but they are. That's all.
So you raised them in Rhode Island?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They were born in in Providence.
Were you upset that Susan moved to Connecticut?
I say, she can do what she wants, but I say all they have is wild turkeys and deer. That's all they have here. I don't know what they're doing here.
Well, that's true of Eastern Connecticut. That's why I like it here, though.
Do you really?
Because it's so rural.
I don't know. I like to have a little, because I'm from New York, so it has to be a little more excitement.
That's true. I've heard people from New Jersey refer to Connecticut as the woods.
Believe me, it's only wild turkey and deers that they have around here.
I almost hit a few wild turkey the other day. I was going down a back road, and there's a bunch of them out there. But
we had a wild turkey when she was going for the walk. It hit the car. It hit her car. And all of a sudden we're going, and all of a sudden you saw the feathers flying.
Jeez, yeah, it was a dangerous day on the road, I think.
It was.
But yeah, what about the casinos that they built out here? They built these 2 giant casinos.
I
in the middle of
know,
the
and
forest.
they're trying to get them in Newport too. We have
Really?
the Grand Island, and we have the casinos.
Yeah, you
here.
guys are kind of losing money, right? That's the perspective, like, because Massachusetts is building a bunch of them too.
And then they want to have it down in Tiverton. I really wish they would get rid of it, because I have a wonderful girl that cleans my house. She's wonderful. She works 2-3 big meal jobs a day. She works like a horse. She lost her car, she lost her telephone, she lost her gambling. It's a terrible addiction.
Really?
It's awful.
Wow. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. I don't.
You don't gamble?
I'm a sport. I go $50. We go $50. That's where we go. That's all I go, up to $50. And it's $1 machine. You can really stay a long time for a penny.
Right.
A penny 10 machines.
So do you ever go to the casinos?
So when I go with Susan, we go to the Mohegan Sun. I like the Mohegan Sun.
And you play the slot machines? Okay.
But then we have a friend. Susan has a friend who's I won't mention names, but she's a big, big gambler. And so they give her free room and board.
Yep. Yeah, if you're winning a lot, they do that.
So she likes to go with me and Susan and I. Susan, of course, she won't take her family because they won't let her gamble. So we go, and we have the beautiful rooms. But we bring some food, and we bring things. Then we go to the Wolf Den. Is it something?
Yep. That's where they have free concerts there.
Yes, free concerts.
I think,
then we go to the pool, and we do the exercise. And So that's it. But that's
But you don't want that in Rhode Island? Wouldn't that be nice if that was closer?
no, but it's killing. I pass Highlight every day. I go when I worked. I got another story.
Okay.
I used to work at the alcohol rehab at the Naval
Yeah,
Hospital.
that must have been nuts, I have to imagine.
It was. I loved it.
The
It was
sailors?
very reward. All of the Army, Navy, Marines,
Okay.
Coast Guard officers. It was just, and I guess I must have been the mother there or whatever it was. It was just lovely. It was very nice, and it was nice. So when I first started working there, they didn't. I had an office next to the psychiatrist, the doctor, and everybody had to be something. So they said to me, "Who was that lady that comes in? You know, they come in. I to say hello to the boys, you know, and then go back to the. Who was that lady?" They said, "She's a sex counselor." Unbeknownst to me, that I was a sex counselor. So all of a sudden, there's a knock on the door. "Have you got a minute?" I says, "Yes, I do have a minute. Won't you come in and sit down? Come and sit down." He says, "You know, my wife likes 69, and I don't know if I know." I says, "That's nice." I says, "Oh, that's very interesting." I said, "That's very interesting, isn't that nice?" Okay. Then all of a sudden he goes away, and then all of a sudden there's somebody else that comes in. "You got a minute?" I said, "Oh, yes, I do." "What's happening now?" Comes in, he says, "You know," he says, "when I do drink, I get very impotent and I can't perform. That I can answer." So I said, "So don't drink and you'll be able to perform." So
you go.
finally I
Simple
go
enough.
back. I says, "Why are they talking so fresh to me? I'm a nice Jewish lady. I have a husband. I don't know anything about sex. What do I know?" So they said, "You know, Esther, somebody has to be something." They said, "Well, who was that lady?" So we said, "She's a sex counselor."
Wow.
That was a nice story.
That's not very nice, is it? Jeez.
That's it.
So what was your job there? What did you
I
actually
was
do?
I was more or less like counseling, and I used to admit them, and it was.
How did you get that job? Because that's not like
Well,
the stock
and
exchange.
I worked in purchasing. I started working in purchasing, and then they were cutting down. They were cutting down, and so I figured I have to get another job. And so then they were advertising. They just started the alcohol rehab at the Naval Hospital. So I went in and I interviewed the psychiatrist, who was Dr. Spice. He was very nice, and he says, "Are you familiar with alcohol?" I says, "No, there's no one in my family that's an alcoholic. I don't know about what I'm doing here, but I'd like to, see what this." So by the time I got back to my office, my commander says to me, "Esther," he says, Dr. Stice wants you to work, with the alcohol rehab." And I said, I said, I didn't know whether to lay down on the couch or sit on the chair when he interviewed me. I says, "What is he doing there?" He says, "No," he says, "because I didn't know. I didn't have any hard feelings for alcohol. You know what I
Right.
mean? I had an open mind."
Yeah, well, that's probably a good
Yeah.
thing, actually.
It
You know,
was.
you don't have
I
any
love
kind of
the
biases
job.
or anything.
It wasn't a typical Navy job, a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? It was every. They used to they used to medevac the Marines from Camp Lejeune, and it really was very interesting. I loved the job. And when Stanley died, it really was very helpful to me, because it helped me, when they were there. And my psychiatrist said, "Esther, the doctor, he says, Esther, no, we have a course in death and dying." I says, "No, I have to handle it myself." When it got to a certain point that I couldn't take, you know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to do it yourself. And
How long did you do that for? How long were you working there for?
35 years.
Wow.
I loved
That
it.
is a long stint.
Loved it,
Jeez
loved it,
Louise.
loved it. It was just
You must have seen some crazy stuff during
crazy
your time
stuff.
there.
I remember once the Marine came in, he took his glass eye out and showing it to me. I says, "Oh my God." But they were
Jeez.
very good to me. And after it was a 6-week program. And when when they used to have, sometimes they used to have a sex thing with all the big penises sticking up in the
What?
thing.
What are you talking about?
They used to have a lot of men that, because they said, remember, they were impotent because they drank and
Okay.
did the thing. So there was a doctor in URI that used to have that sex course.
Okay.
And they had films, and they used to show they used to show the penis, and here I'm sitting there with the boys with the big things in front of me, and it was the course.
So wait, you gotta break this
Okay.
down. So they had films. Are these
Films to show
pornographic
the boys.
films?
They were showing the boys, and we were sitting in with the boys. You
Were
know,
these pornographic films?
yes,
Okay.
no, they weren't exposing themselves to me. No, it was just the film.
Okay.
Just
And then they had like a statue or something?
No, it was just something that because they didn't want them to have AIDS or you know what I mean. There was a time that they didn't want them to get exposed. They wanted to tell them to be careful with their sex life.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's what they were trying to tell them to do.
Okay.
So don't, whatever you do. But here I had to sit and watch.
So you were kind of like a sex therapist then if you were there for that.
I know nothing about it, but I got to learn more about it.
Why did they drag you into that?
They used to do, I forget what kind of therapy it was, that I was the mother, and they used to act. I forget, it's some kind of a thing. It was a very good program. It really was.
What's it called?
Role playing.
Role playing. Yeah.
Role playing. And I was usually the mother that they had. And they really, when you saw them, they got into it, so it was very interesting. It really was I loved the job. It really was very interesting. It really was.
I can't imagine it must have been.
It
I mean,
really-
because there's that old cliche that sailors drink a lot, right? So I'd imagine like a lot of people coming in from the Navy.
And
that
you
have
know,
drinking
where
problems.
are they going to go? They're on a ship. They
Right.
go to Spain or wherever. Where do they go? They go to the first bar.
Right.
So, you know, when they then get to a point that
I'm sure they're happy to get off too, so they're
That's
looking
what I
for
mean.
something to
That's-
celebrate. And,
yeah. And they were all very nice to me. They were lovely. After the 6 months, they used to get up, they used to give me flowers, they used to show appreciation, you know, attitude of gratitude they used to have, you know, they used to give me, and lots of times they used to call me and tell me, gee, Esther, it's been maybe 5 years and here I'm still sober, you know.
Wow.
So it was just nice. It was.
Yeah, you probably had
It was
probably
very.
touched a lot of lives doing that, you know, helping people out.
It was. I really enjoyed it. It was nice. It was a nice feeling. And I liked the people that I was working with. It wasn't a typical Navy job. You know what I mean? It was like 9 to 5 it was just a very, I couldn't.
Well, it must have
wait
been pretty great for you to stay there for 35 years. I mean,
Very interesting. Very interesting. And they made me a lovely party at the officers' club. Everybody came, and it was very nice. And
is that when you retired, you mean?
Yeah, when I retired. And as a matter of fact, when I retired, Steve and my Chelsea, the captain says to him, "Tell me, what do you like about your grandmother? She makes a good trifle." She
Makes
makes
good trifle?
chocolate trifle.
That's
Do you
nice.
remember?
Well, it's something.
Something. At least I did something good, right? But it was very nice. Everything was lovely, and even now, everybody is so good to me. We go to different places, you know, and I go to Sardellas now, and everybody is so good. My 90th birthday, they champagne toasts, and
Wow.
it was just lovely. Everybody, and you go in there, it's like a family. You know what I mean? It's like family. It's lovely. If you ever come to Newport, we'll take you down, and you'll see it's lovely. It really is.
Yeah, I don't go to Rhode Island too often. I think the last 2 times I went to Rhode Island were for professional wrestling shows.
Oh, that's right. You're into wrestling.
Yeah, I went once with your grandson.
Yeah.
We went to the what's it called? It's not the Civic Center. What's the big Providence?
Oh yes, that's in Providence. They have that. I forget the name of it. I know what you mean. It's in Providence.
And then I just went a couple weeks ago with my fiance and my dad.
Yeah.
There was professional wrestling matches at the Pawtucket Red Sox Stadium there. You ever go there?
Yeah. No, I haven't gone there.
Are you a baseball fan at all?
No. Oh, no.
Really?
I'm not because
Like being from you grew up in New York, right?
Susan and Jimmy are Yankee fans,
Right.
and Alan and Karen are Red Sox fans,
Right.
and I don't I don't care.
You never went to a game?
I used to go to the Giant when they were in New York. I used to go
Okay.
to the Epps Field. I used to go to those places. We used to go.
Stop following when they
were
moved
here,
to New York
When they
or
were here.
California?
When they before they moved away, that's when they were there. And they had it was very interesting. I liked it.
Have you?
I used to when I was growing up. I was a shortstop for baseball.
Really?
I used to play. I used to go.
That must have been unusual back then, right? Girls
Yeah,
playing baseball, because there's that whole. They made that movie about that League of Their Own.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
was that in high school you played?
Yeah, when I was in high school, I met there were girls that they started a club, with a girls baseball club, and so I was shortstop.
Wow. Were you any good?
Not bad, not bad. I remember we used to have the uniform. We used to put jackets, have the jackets on. It was very interesting. It was. I had a good childhood. It was nice, good.
But that was unusual back then, right?
It was.
I
It
can't imagine there were many.
Well, we used to do
girls teams around.
and we used to do it in the school yard,
Right.
and that's what we used to play.
Did
out
people come out for your games?
Right. And it was interesting. It was good.
Nice. Well, I was going to ask you too, because the Giants moved to San Francisco. Have you done much traveling in your life?
Not too much.
Really?
I haven't been to California.
I haven't either.
I know, and I've been to Spain.
Well, that's
I love
pretty cool.
Spain. I loved it.
What part of Spain did you go to?
We went to the Costa del Sol. That's in Spain. Well, I forget where I know but we went to Spain. We went to the wait. I'll tell you where we went. My cousin Milton. He was an attorney,
Okay.
and he used to take my sister and I to different places. We went to.
Like around the world?
No. My sister went around the world with him, but no,
Okay.
I didn't go around the world with him. No, but we went to the. But I love Spain. Was it the Costa del Sol? I forget what it was. I know it was in Spain. I know we did.
What year did you go, roughly?
I would say let me see. Stanley was done Stanley had just died. It must have been about 3 years after Stanley died.
Okay.
So it's just 37 years. He's been dead. He died in 80. So this must have been 83, 84.
Okay.
So,
So how long were you in Spain for?
we went for 2 weeks.
Wow.
We
That's a
traveled
decent
all
trip.
around. It was lovely. And my cousin, I got a funny story to tell you. My cousin Milton, he was the nicest guy, but he wasn't dressed, you know what I mean? He money wasn't that important, He would be very gracious and generous with my sister and I, and he loved being with us because we were funny and we enjoyed ourselves and we enjoyed him. So he used to wear this terrible lime shirt, and it was hot there, and the dark pants, and we said, we got to get Milton another outfit. We got to do something. So we went to this place in Spain. I forget where it was. And it was hot, and then the floor. They have tile floors. The floors it was hot. So we went into this place, and I said to him, and he was very big, my cousin. He says, now, we have to get him a shirt, a grande, big, because all I know is Spain, grande in Spain.
Right. Yeah.
So we got him the thing. So meanwhile, we took his old pants off and he put on the shirts. And then we took his shoes off. We had to get him thonged, we took the shoes off. And we got him this shirt. We got a very nice shirt and then he went to pay. And it was a lot of money. He didn't realize how much the money was and didn't want to spend that money. But meanwhile, we had his pants and we had his shirts and we had everything, and we went in the car. So here he's walking out with just his, just a hat on because he didn't want to get the shoes. So he says, I'm an intelligent person. I'm a very good lawyer in Providence. He says, you're making a blithering out of me. He says. But he was the most wonderful person. He was very nice. He was very gracious. He was very good to us. Very good.
So besides Spain, where else have you visited?
Let me see where we went on a cruise. We used to go on a cruise. We went on the Oceanic, and then
were you on those cruises that actually stop at the islands, or did you
they
just
do.
stay on the boat?
And you spend the day there.
Yep.
They stop off different places.
I did that a few times.
Yeah, that was lovely. I loved it.
What's your favorite island?
Well, let me see. The favorite island I think was. Let me. I'm trying to think of which one. There were so many we went to. I'm trying to think of which one we went to. I think it was in. We stopped off. I forgot.
Have you ever been to St. Lucia?
Oh yeah, I heard of that.
I like that one because
That
they have
was-
the two volcanoes.
That's right. Yeah, it was interesting. That was interesting. Yeah, there's so many places that I'm trying to think of what, and I loved it. It was great. It was interesting because all you had to do was worry: what am I going to eat and what am I going to wear?
Right.
I like that. And then you went in, then went for the day, and they had the
What is that?
the day, the company. We have company. And no, but I'm trying to think of which one I liked the best. And then we went. I forget.
There's a lot of them. You know what's funny though? I've been to almost every one except for Jamaica. I haven't been to, which is a big one.
Yeah.
And then Cuba, I haven't been to either.
Oh, we went to St. Thomas.
Yep, that's a good one. Actually, my mom got married there. My
Yeah,
mom got
with
married on
St.
the
Thomas
beach
and
in
St.
Thomas.
Croix. We went there. Stanley and I. We went there, and we went to a lot of
You
places.
went to
but-
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Oh yeah, went to Israel.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Went to Hawaii. Twice I went to Hawaii. My cousin
Really? You went there
yes.
twice?
My cousin, he was a Quaker.
Okay.
And
That's interesting.
He was Jewish, but he
was a Jewish Quaker?
Jewish Quaker,
Okay.
and he had a bed and breakfast in Hawaii. So and
Sounds like an interesting character.
and I'm telling, and so my sister and he wanted the company because he was tired of the Quakers. So he sent money for us to come to Hawaii so he can we can make him happy and make him laugh a little bit. So we went there and we used to go. You know what? Did you ever go to a Quaker wedding?
No, I haven't.
There's no priest or anything. They
Really?
just
Who marries them?
They just sit and there's just somebody who there was just some person who was in charge, whatever it was, and they used to sit there and they used to meditate and they said, and somebody gets up, the moon is high and the sky is full and this is this and this and that, and then they sit down. They meditate again. That's what they meditate. My sister looks at me, and I look at my sister. I said, "What the hell are we doing here?" And the music plays, and then it's very interesting.
Yeah, that actually it sounds like a Pentecostal service. You ever been to one of those?
No.
Because they'll do things like they'll have just a while where the music's playing.
Right.
And like the
And the
preachers
meditation,
and
they meditate, and then they
like somebody will start. They'll speak in tongues, or
Yeah,
then they'll start
right.
like I don't know if they're speaking for
Right.
God.
No,
but like,
but that's
like
what I mean. All of a
preaching,
sudden,
you know?
they get up and
Yeah.
they talk, and they talk crazy talk. Yeah.
So have you ever been to like Asia, like any
No,
Japan
I
or
haven't
China?
been to India. I haven't been to China. I haven't been to Asia. I've been, as I said, Israel, and I loved Israel.
How long were you there for?
We were there. We went on a convention. We were there. I remember the Pope was there when we were there once.
Really? That's interesting.
It was very interesting, and we were. I loved the way they found cities underneath the underground. It was wonderful. It was very interesting. I loved it. We were there for 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks. It was a 2-week tour that we went there. The group of people.
And when was that? Was that the 80s also?
This must have been in about 84, 85.
Okay.
Yeah, we went because my cousin, they were going. They had they had a group that were going from Florida, and so she says, Esther, would you like to? I said certainly. So, and I went. It was just lovely. It was very interesting.
So you must have seen a good part of the country. Then.
Oh, yes,
You go
it-
to
it-
the Wailing Wall and all that.
Yes, definitely. I put a thing in the will. It was that I found Israel very interesting. And we had a very nice guide. He was wonderful. He was very good, and the people are very nice too. It was very nice.
Yep. I love traveling. I love just kind of getting outside of the culture and just experiencing different parts of the world. I actually got to spend 2 months in Japan. So it
Oh,
was
that
nice just
must
to
have
kind
been
of,
interesting. Gee, that
yeah.
must be. See, never went there, not to Japan or anything to China. I didn't go there.
But even, just different parts of the country too. I actually made a point of bringing my fiance to the South
Oh, yes.
because, her experience in the U.S. are New England, and she went to like Los Angeles and Las Vegas, I think. But like you have to kind of go travel
Now,
around
where
and
did
see
she
this
come
stuff.
from? You said
Brazil.
Brazil. That
Yeah.
must have been interesting.
Sao Paulo, which is not the same as Rio, and
Oh,
she's
okay.
very adamant about that.
Oh,
She does
okay.
not like Rio.
Okay.
I think it's like Boston and New York, maybe.
But still, that are you going to go to now? Your wedding? Does she have a big family?
Yeah, but only a couple people can come up here because it's
too
expensive.
expensive.
You have to get a visa and all this stuff.
It's
so,
too expensive.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
but I'm gonna go down there at some point. Actually, what's cool is I'll get to be a dual citizen, so I can be a citizen of
That's
Brazil
right.
at some point.
That
So.
should be nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I definitely want to go there. I actually would like to go. She thinks I'm crazy for saying this, but I want to go to the Amazon.
You
and go,
do?
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't
Go-
that something?
Don't you think that would be amazing to go out in the Amazonian rainforest and see the Indians?
really.
No, no inclination to do that.
Not really. That wouldn't turn me on, to tell you the truth.
Well, if you could take one more trip somewhere, where would you like to go?
I think I would. I haven't been to California.
Yeah.
San Francisco, I think. I've never been. I don't know if I want to go overseas now, to tell you the truth, with everything going on there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it would be. I feel bad what they did to was it for Spain
Yep.
with the Barcelona was terrible. What the
That's horrible, huh? I only saw a few videos, but what I saw was
Terrible.
pretty horrific.
terrible, just awful. I felt terrible. And you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. You hear the tourists are there. They're walking the streets, and a car comes over, and it's terrible. I've never seen such hate and discontent now in the country.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, everywhere. I mean, it's true here, too. So there could be some shooting somewhere.
Absolutely.
I think that's like what my fiance told me is that's kind of they think Americans are crazy and there's gun violence everywhere and things
No,
like that.
but it's not only there; it's all over.
No, and if you go to South America, there's
Absolutely.
riots,
That's
there's
what I mean.
revolutions and all that.
In France, they had it too. Wherever it was terrible. It was awful
So,
there.
whole world's going crazy.
I'm telling you, and you know why? They're all going crazy. That's it. So that's it's. I like. My cousin pleads with me to go to Florida. She wants me to. As a matter of fact, I'm going to.
You've been to Florida, right? You
Oh
must
yes,
have.
I've
Okay.
been there, but there were so many things happening in Newport with the music. There's
Right.
all year round. There's always some place to go and something to do. That
So you stay pretty active then. You're going
yes,
to these concerts a lot?
Monday is one thing. Tuesday, I maybe 3 times, 4 times a week. I'm always out there doing something. There's always something that I'm doing. It's wherever there's music, that's where I am, which is very interesting. I like it. Like they say to Alan, "Where's your mother?" Let me see. What day is today? Is it Monday? Oh, she must be out having dinner with somebody, or Tuesday or Wednesday at the music. It's very, and then that because he is a musician. And you'll have to come to Newport, because it's really very interesting. Bring your lovely lady.
Sure.
And
When is the Newport Jazz Festival? Because that's like the big one, right?
It was. They had the Newport Jazz. They had, as a matter of fact, Rachel. You met Rachel.
Yep.
Rachel was at the folk festival. She bought tickets to the folk
Rachel is
festival.
who? Who's Rachel?
Oh, Rachel is Stephen's sister.
Yep.
Okay, and Susan's daughter and Jimmy's daughter.
Right.
Now we know who Rachel is. Okay.
Your granddaughter.
My granddaughter. And so Rachel usually stays with me when she comes to Newport.
Okay.
So then she volunteered at the jazz festival. So she was doing the jazz festival all the time. She volunteered.
What was she doing there?
She was at the concessions, and she was at the show, whatever it was. It was interesting. She met all the musicians. As a matter of fact, who was the one that she said that she was friendly with? Susan, I forget. There was one of the anyway. It was so she was there as the judge. But she is something else. That Rachel, that's my granddaughter. She She's wonderful. She just has to go and say hello to people, and right away say, "Oh, come on, and you can be with me." That's what it. She's just very interesting. She's charming, and she's a lovely lady. Did you ever meet Rachel?
Yeah, I met her a couple of times. I think she was at the walk also, right?
Yeah, she's usually at the walk. She might be coming here very shortly. Yeah.
Well, so I actually do want to take one more break.
You can have all the beer you want. Get another break. Have another break.
All right, so we're going to play another song, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, so you came from a very, very close family, right?
Right. We're very close, and we were very. I have friends. I have friends, but most of it was family. Families like my father's. My aunt and uncle used to come. My aunt used to come. My uncles, they played pinochle, and my cousins used to come together, and we were very close. Most of my cousins were very educated. They, in New York at that time, the colleges were free. So a few of them were judges, and then there was the lawyers, attorneys. They were very interested, and then they were very talented. One of my cousins was they went to MIT and they went. I mean, it was very interesting. The
Wow,
family was
that's
very
impressive.
yeah. It was, and my father didn't believe in the girls going to college.
Really? So he told
figured-
you not to.
He said because they're going to get married and have kids, so that's it. So he didn't go. He didn't go to college, but we had a good life. It was a good life because everybody was poor at the time. You know what I mean? So everybody was there, and so
When did the economy really start picking up? Because it seems like, the 30s
I
are pretty
would
much
say,
the whole.
well, was during the war, the Holocaust, during the war, when we lived in Williamsburg, we lived in a in a place where a lot of people escaped the ghetto. They lived in the ghetto, and they're very Orthodox, very big rabbis that were there, and they had a lot of money, and they paid the people out, and they came. So they lived in our house. We had a 3-family house in Williamsburg, and it wasn't our house, but we lived on the 3rd floor, but they lived in the middle, and that was before I got married, before I married Stanley, and there were people there. So they were. I was Jewish, but they were really Orthodox Jews. You know what I mean? So they used to have one of the girls was going to get married. She's a beautiful girl. This girl came in. What they did in the Jewish religion, they match. It's a matchmaker. They never meet the husband. They don't talk to the man. They don't have anything to do with them. The family plans the match. They make a match. And so this girl came over from wherever they made the match. She came over, and she was gorgeous. She had beautiful black hair, and she was beautiful. And she was going to marry this man who I thought looked 50 years older than her. He had the beard. He was ugly. He was but she was beautiful. And I said to her, I says, what do you see in him? Because, I was a Yankee, a Jewish Yankee girl. I wasn't, So she said, because he's very religious, and I respect the fact that he is so religious, and that's what and so I went to their wedding. It was a very Orthodox wedding. The men, the rabbi, the men used to sit around the table. The women couldn't come in. They used to sit around the table, and they used to pray. And they used to pray, and they used to pray, and it was interesting. I had a very nice education, with different. We went to their dance, we went to their weddings. It was very interesting. I had a very nice childhood. It was very interesting.
Well, you were also just talking about your father having mastoids. What is that?
Oh yes, let me tell you the story.
What does that mean? What is a mastoid?
It was just behind the ears. It was an infection behind behind the ears. Okay, so let me tell you about that.
So it's like a lump. It's like a lump.
Whatever it was, but with penicillin and all that, right now nobody has that. It was a double mastoid he had. Okay, so he went to we lived on 50th Street in Borough Park, and they had the hospital was right there. The Mammalian Hospital now. I forget what it was. It was a Jewish hospital then there on 50th Street, and so my mother didn't speak to English, and my aunt, the same, two little Jewish ladies, were going there. So Benny went to the hospital to have his mastoid operations, and my aunt and my mother, two little nice Jewish ladies, was sitting there waiting in the lobby, waiting in the waiting room, and they were very nervous. My mother was very upset. Benny. She adored Benny, Benny. She adored Benny, and so she couldn't wait, and finally, after an hour and a half or something, she goes over, and the doctor was washing his hands. He had the blood, washing his hands. So she says, how's Benny? Where's Benny? How's Benny? So the doctor said, it was almost too late. She didn't hear the almost, just the too late.
Oh, jeez, man.
So all of a sudden, and my sister and I were in a friend's house down the street. So this must have been maybe 5-6 blocks. She was walking down. She says, "Dee, Esther, hurry, have to come. It's too late. It's too late. Benny is too late. Benny is gone. He's dead. He's too late. We have to come into the house and we have to sit and we have to call Providence and tell them that Benny, it's too late. It's too late. He's died." So they call the relatives. They all come over there and they said, "What's the matter?" She says, "Well, doctor says too late." So Benny, they go to the hospital to get the body. Benny is sitting in the chair, enjoying his life. He says, "Why didn't anybody come to visit me? What's the matter?" They come to bury him. And there he was. But, I'm the same way. When I get very nervous, there's certain things that I don't hear. But she didn't hear the almost either.
Kind of an important word.
But it was so fun. She says she called the relatives up. You have to come down because Benny, it's too late. It's too late. Benny's gone. There were so many crazy stories.
It's been an emotional day.
So, yeah.
So, well, another story you were just talking about before we started was last night. I guess something happened with you. So what happened to you last night?
Oh, last night I was sitting in the house enjoying my life, and I was getting ready to come here, and had everything all set, and all of a sudden there was a big bang, and sparks. The television went out, but just the front. There was just where where my room was, in the den where I was watching television. There were sparks coming all over the place, moving all over.
Out of the television or
No,
out of the
it was
outlets?
I had on the wire. There was a wire. There's a pole, and there was a wire.
Oh, so
there.
out the window you could see the sparks.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was just sparks were coming. A lot of like 5, and I figured, oh my God, so. I go into the other, and I went into the other room, and all of a sudden there was a bang on the ceiling. I said,
Jeez.
"Okay," and I smelled something. I said, "Oh my God, we're big troubles." So I called my neighbor next door because I said, "There's something the matter. Who do you call?" And then I called the electric company, the National Grid.
Okay.
We have National Grid in Rhode Island, and so I called him up and I said, I'm 91 years old, and I says, and someone's got to come and help me because the sparks are coming out of the wires and there's something wrong and the sparks are coming out of the wires and I smell something. She says, "Why don't you first call the fire department?" So I called the fire department. Very nice firemen. They were very nice. They went up in the attic and they went all over the place. They went all over to see what they could do. They couldn't find anything. And it was raining so hard. It was pouring. Was it raining here last night?
Yeah, a little bit.
Not a little bit, a lot. We were just coming down. I said, "Stop raining. I can't stand it anymore." That's with the rain. So, and then the sparks up coming out. So I called Alan, my son and daughter-in-law, Alan and Karen. I called Susan, but she couldn't come from Connecticut. What can you do?
It's pretty far.
Yeah. So they came down, and the firemen were there till I don't know what time, and then the National Grid came, and at 12 o'clock. I didn't go to sleep till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Man.
That's why sometimes.
I've been tired.
Yeah, yes, that's it. But it was, and then they didn't, like Alan didn't leave till about 2. I didn't go to sleep till about 3. And he came at 12 o'clock, the National Grid man. He was working on all of a sudden we saw lights. He was working on it, and he was working on it. And I figured I was really nervous. I figured something's going to happen to him. And it was just, he not completely fixed. My TV went.
Yeah.
And
So you have to replace all that stuff, huh? Your TV, your refrigerator,
yeah, everything. Yeah, we have to be. And my air conditioning, it was so hot yesterday. I didn't know what to do with the fans.
That stinks.
So that's what happened last. It does.
Insurance doesn't cover any of that?
Insurance, yeah.
Okay.
I have insurance, so we won't
fair
worry
enough, then.
about it. Yeah, that's it.
Well, is there any other stories that you wanted to share with the listeners? Any other?
There's so many stories, but as I said, I went to sleep at 3 o'clock this morning, and I'm not thinking straightly. So maybe some other time we'll tell stories there.
Yeah. Well, that's something I loved about my great grandfather. Was hanging out with him. We actually used to go to Rhode Island. We'd
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we'd go kind of bar hopping there on the way. He'd pick me up here in Colchester, and then he's friends with the folks who run Tweet Balzano's Family Restaurant
yes.
in Bristol. You been there?
Yes, that's in Bristol.
Yep. Did you go there
Yes,
often?
we used to go there all the time.
I like the smelts there.
Yes, I love that. I go there. Oh, that's going way back. I love that. We used to go to Tweet. Does they still have it there?
Yep. His family has it. Did you know Tweet?
No, but I used to go to the restaurant all the time.
Right. Yeah, it's still there from.
It's the family
as far as I know.
type restaurant. I loved it. We used to go there all the time. That was a long time ago. Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's still there. You should stop
I know
by
it's still.
sometime.
Isn't I have to go. I will have to go and there. This is because I remember that. Yes. So that was a nice place to go, and that was.
But yeah, I used to like go with my great grandfather because we'd stop at bars along the way, and he'd tell me all those old stories about because he was a big band leader. So
He was.
yeah. So
that's
they'd go and they'd play all over, and pretty exciting life, I would think.
It is. I think it's very. I think, and we're very lucky to have all these wonderful musicians in Newport. We have big time musicians, like I said, Mike Renzi, who played with Lena Horne, who played with all the big shot people. He was he was the music director in Sesame Street to begin with for about
Really?
7-8 years. He has all kind of trophies. He has all kind of things. He's really and very low key. He is, and so but there were so many. We're very lucky to have all these musicians there, and so there's no reason for me to go anyplace else. I stay there and I enjoy my life.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it's not something. So, but are you into music? Are you with town? Do you have any instrument? Is there any?
I don't play music at all, but I am passionate about music. I actually had a radio show. Before I did this, I had a radio show at my college at Notre Dame. So
You went to Notre Dame.
So I used to play all kinds of obscure, mostly rock and roll, but I'm also into jazz a little bit. Are you a
Yeah.
Miles Davis fan?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite musician or favorite singer?
Well, Frank Sinatra, I told you.
Okay.
That was, any jazz musician, I love them all. And as a matter of fact, there was a tape that we're playing it today with this. Do you listen to The Voice?
No.
Oh,
The TV show?
yeah.
I've heard of it, but I haven't actually watched it.
Well, we have a very dear friend, Billy Gilman. He won The Voice. He won
Wow.
the prize of Voice. He just
That's
traveling
impressive.
all over. He does very good, and he's. I mean, we have very talented people there.
Have you ever heard of Steve Lippia? He's like a Frank Sinatra. I don't want to say impersonator, but he goes and they'll have like. Yeah, I guess it's like impersonation. They'll have like the Rat Pack go out and like.
I see with the
and he'll sing all the songs. You should check him out at some point. His name's Steve Lippia. I think he's down in Florida right now, but he was up here.
Maybe, because I haven't seen him. But what we used to do when we were kids? We used to go to the Catskill Mountains
Who was up there?
in Monticello. We used to go. My aunt used to have a. They used to call it. It's cottages there where people come for the summer. And they eat and they used to go. There's Grow Singers. There was a big hotels there. So my sister and I used to go. They used to get out of hot New York and go to the Catskill Mountains, and that was very interesting too. I didn't even mention it there, but that was very interesting. And we used to go have all the. As a matter of fact, Jerry Lewis started there. A lot of the musicians, they started in the Catskill Mountains, which was very interesting. We used to go to the Concord and Grow Singers and the different places there.
I meant to ask earlier when we were talking about Mel Brooks, when did you first see that he became famous?
Well, when I saw him on the television, when he was so funny, when he
Right.
what
What was it? The prehistoric man? Like he'd wear the cape and he'd talk about what I forget the name of that was.
The $100,000 man, the one with he was so funny. He used to, I forget what
I forget what it was called too. It was like 100,000-year-old man or something like
right,
that.
yeah, that was it. That was the one.
That was on.
And it was it
What was
was.
a show? It was. I forget
He
the name of
was
the
so
TV show.
funny. There was a movie. It was a movie was to do it. It was. He's a very funny comedian. He really is.
You must have been
And
shocked though. Like, there's this guy that you did. You have second thoughts? Like, man, I shouldn't have ran away that time.
that's right. I shouldn't have. I don't know. But Anne Bancroft.
2,000-year-old man. That's
right.
what it was
That's
called.
it. Isn't that? And Anne Bancroft. He married her, and she's beautiful. They had a wonderful life together for the longest time. He
Yeah, I was
married-
with Carl Reiner.
Oh, funny, funny, funny. They were very funny together. I love both of them. They were,
I just imagine that's to be strange for, you grow up with this person and you
Well-
ran away from him and he wanted to kiss you.
but he wasn't that way then. You know what I mean? Maybe when he went to Hollywood or something, this is when he got the humor. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's no other stories that you want to share? You seem like you've had so many different adventures.
There
I
are
hate
so
to leave
many.
anything.
So right now,
on the table.
I really one might jump up out with another. You know what I mean? If I think of one thing, maybe I'll think of something else. But I'm trying to think of. There's so many that I can think of. But right now, it's tough. It's,
Yeah.
it-
Again, I loved hearing those stories from my great grandpa because it
But
really
isn't
became.
that, Belzana, I can't get over. We finally hit across something that we know about.
But it was interesting for me because he used to say to me, it was a different world back, when he was
It
doing
was.
the big band back in like the 50s and the 60s and all that. So what do you think has changed? the
Harry
most?
James, I love that. The big band. I don't. Well, they're not doing the big bands anymore. They're
Well,
not.
that's been kind of
yeah.
true since
Yeah.
the 50s, right? I mean,
right. And then
That's when rock kind of took over. It seems like.
they-
But I mean, what's changed the most since then? Like, I mean, I would have to think that this would be a big thing. Like, you see kids on here, and they can any question in the world. I just found
Hey,
out
no,
Mel
I
Brooks,
think-
2,000-year-old man. So just having instant
I got
access.
a stupid phone. A lot of people have smartphones. I don't have a smartphone.
You don't have one of these? Really?
I have a stupid phone. That's what I have, and I need a phone. That's what I have.
You have a computer though, right?
I have an iPad.
Okay.
That's like a computer. It's very good. I have an iPad, which is good.
So
that-
yeah, I mean, isn't that? I mean, it's kind of odd, right? I mean, I would have to imagine, growing up back in the 30s when like you said, everybody was kind of poor, and thinking at some point in the future your grandson's gonna be walking around with something with the size of a deck of cards that
But
has
when we
access
used
to every.
when we used to go to the World's Fair, they had all these things. Then we figured when we were ever going to, that was going way back.
Right.
And all of a sudden, these are coming to life. You know what I mean? Everything is there. You would never think that some of these things.
Well,
would-
some things no. Like my grandpa said when he came back from the war, they told
Was
him
he
that they're gonna.
WW2 or
Yeah, like I said, he was in the Westover Air Base, so he didn't really
Right.
like go over there. But he said that they were talking about having flying cars like right after they came back. And
Yeah.
still don't got that. Although they have the self-driving cars, I was actually in one of those a couple weeks ago.
Tell me about those self-driving cars.
Just
To
a
me, I don't know
computer.
how they do it.
They have sensors and they can see, basically see what's in front of them, like a radar or sonar or whatever. They kind of see what's in front, and then they'll go faster or slower depending on that. But I was only in it for a very short drive. I don't know what it must be like on the highway, because right before that I had driven across the country down to Pensacola and
Yeah.
back, and traffic.
with that car that drove by itself.
No. I was just saying that I had to do that, and
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking, I can't imagine how a self-driving car could have done that kind of ride. 'Cause
Right.
the traffic was so
Isn't that
heavy, and the
something? Yeah,
rain and all that stuff.
That's what I'm saying. And I've been driving. Well, in New York, we didn't have a car, so when I married my husband, he taught me how to drive. Never have a husband teach you how to drive, because
I won't.
a terrible, terrible thing. Okay, so he got a car, and he was teaching me how to drive, and there was a gas station that so when he taught me, he wanted me to stop right away. I says, no, slow down. Why should we stop? So finally I got to drive, and I got a permit, and then we used to go to Narragansett Pier, and I used to drove. And then it was after the summer, and it came the winter, and it was time to, get my license. So, and my Stanley was very possessive and very protective of me. He didn't. So he says, "Gee, Blondie, I'm off." He called me Blondie. He says, "Gee, Blondie," he says, "it's too bad. You should have gotten the license in the summer because they don't give licenses in the winter." More on me. I didn't know. So when we used to drive, there's a garage there, and I used to talk to the boys, and they said, "Well, tell me, did you get your license yet?" I said, "Got such damn luck. I finally wanted to get my license in the winter, and they wouldn't give you the license." So they started laughing. They were all hysterical. He says, "I don't believe it." It made sense to me because the ice and the snow, a new driver, where is she going to go? I went down the next day and I got my license. But that I thought was funny. That was another funny story that I said.
Good one.
And it was just, but I never knew how to parallel park.
Well, I don't think many people do.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think half people that have licenses nowadays don't know how to drive. So
If I wanted, I still drive, but when I do, I can't parallel park, but I have to have maybe have a long space. I have to go maybe a block out of the way so I can move into and get the space.
actually, I think when I got my license, I screwed up the parallel parking part of it, and the instructor said, "Well, it's raining, so it's okay." So
I don't know why I've never. It was but I feel as I drive around town. I don't drive out of town. I drive in town, and I go shopping, and I go to the clubs, where my son plays. So I do. I don't take the car away from me because that's it. Yeah.
Well, I did want to ask you. So, like I said, my great grandpa used to say it was a different world, back when he used to play in the big bands back in the 50s and 60s, and because you again you were born almost you were born the same month of him.
That's right.
I think so. Just looking back, and don't feel pressure to give a quick answer, but like if you want to think about it, what has really changed the most, you think, like from the time when you were growing up to kind of the world that we live in today? Like what's the most different thing? What makes it such a different place than it used to be?
I think it's another world. It really is. It's another world. They have different. When we were young and we had the big bands and used to play. Now I don't know if there are any big bands nowadays. I love I love the music then there too.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm older than I have it. But the kids nowadays, I don't know if they like these kind of music. The big bands, they like the rock and roll, and they like what kind of music do you like that you play? They're not. I know when Alan when he first started, he started with the. He traveled around a lot. He played and he traveled with the. It wasn't jazz. It was rock and roll. It was what are some of the others that have very like the Beatles and stuff that play?
They were like rock and roll or
Yeah.
pop
Hard
music.
rock.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's so. But then finally, when he got to jazz, that's when I really liked it. The others were just whatever. But he played with everything.
I'm sorry,
He played disco.
disco. Okay, disco music.
Disco.
Remember disco?
Disco,
dance
right?
like that?
Right. That's what I mean. The disco. And I mean, I've been going to all of his. I'm a groupie mother, so I know all the musicians. And when they see me, if they don't know me, they know Alan. They know Alan. They know me. I think everybody in Newport. They call me the mayoress of Newport because everybody knows me or Alan. Because listen, I'm 90-something years old. They should know me. So it was a. And when I go and I meet people and they go, I just, "Oh, Esther, hello, how are you?" And I, who the hell is it? I don't even know. But I don't even say, "Excuse me, I forgot your name." I'm ashamed to say it. But they are, and they says, "How is Alan?" When they mention me by my name, Esther, that's when I feel, oh, I'm in big trouble. Once I said, "Oh, I'm fine. How are you?" And they said to me, call me Esther. "Oh, I'm fine." I says, "How's the family?" She said, "I don't have a family. What are you talking about? I don't have." So I just, but I between working at the base, the different going to different places, working at the Naval Hospital and going to the gym and different places that I've been to. So then,
You still go to the gym?
what, darling?
You still go to the gym? Is that what you're saying?
No, I used to go to the athletic club. I don't go there
Okay.
anymore, but I used to go to the gym, and then I worked at the alcohol rehab, and I've been so I've known people from different walks of life. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I know more. It's a small town. It's a very small town. You know, you have to know each other.
Is it?
And you're gonna have to come and visit.
I will. And we should go to Tweet Balzano's at some point.
I love Tweet Bells. And beside that, you bring your ladies and you can go where Alan plays. It's a lovely place where you can hear the music.
Fair enough.
He's a jazz musician. There's Lenites clubs there, and it's very reasonable.
All right. I want to ask you just one political question
Yes.
because this is typically kind of a politicalist
Right.
show. When you were born, the president was Calvin Coolidge. And there's been a lot of different presidents over the years. Who was your favorite president that you can remember?
I would say Kennedy.
Kennedy? What'd you like most about him?
I liked him. He was very nice. He was very I'm not really a politician.
Right.
I'm not in the politics.
Right.
As far as now I can't. I don't want to say it. I can't stand that man who is a president now. He is terrible. He's not very good. So anyway, did you ever hear? I'm 91 years old. Did you ever
Yep.
hear of any hate and discontent that we have in this country right now? Not only in Europe, in the United States, but in Europe and all over.
Right. It's pretty bad. Like we were saying earlier, people are going crazy everywhere. It seems
I'm
like.
telling you, it's never been that bad. I've never seen it like that before. It's terrible, and I blame him.
Well, what did you like most about Kennedy?
He was honest. I know he was a womanizer, that's
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marilyn Monroe and all that.
Yeah, and he was a womanizer, and he was in Canada. He lived in Newport. They lived in Newport.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's what I mean. They have the Auchinclosh estate. That was there. They had it there. So and they were married in the church in Newport. He and she was a lovely lady, Diana. And no, not Kennedy, not Diana. No, Jackie. And so it really I just happen to like him. Besides his being so handsome.
Well, again, is there anything else that you want to tell the world?
I would like to tell the world that everybody should be well and healthy. And
What's
and
the secret to a long and happy life?
Okay, that's what I tell people. They say to me, Esther, what do you attribute your longevity to? You know, my husband's been dead for 35 years. I say, sex. That's the reaction I get. Sex. I think that's the word. I think it was. It's been so long. So that's what I have. I'll end with that statement there.
Well, I appreciate you sharing these stories and talking.
It's been a pleasure. You are a very sweet young man.
Thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate
you're
that.
welcome. And I want to wish you lots of luck with your lovely bride.
Thank
with
you.
Your girlfriend.
Yep, 99 days until my wedding.
See? And you're going to come to Newport and visit?
Yep. Again, we should go to Tweet Balzano's. I really want to plug that.
Yeah,
Tweet
okay,
Balzano's.
that's
everybody.
right. And what you ought to do is when you come in, let me know, and we can make. Wednesday. If you come Sunday, they play at the this lovely club that they play. It's not expensive. It's very, very, very reasonable. And you see the band, have the band, and it's very interesting.
Nice. What's the name of it?
It's wait. Let me see. The Atlantic Resort Restaurant.
Cool. All right. Sounds
It
like a
used
good
to be
time.
The ABC. It's
Let's do
just
it.
lovely. It really is. But you can call me. They'll give you the number, and then I'll let you know.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. And
Thank you very much.
Playing us out, I'm gonna pick a jazz tune that my great grandpa did. Do you remember there was a movie back? I think it was the '70s. Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, I heard that.
He
yeah.
did like a really
It's a play, too.
He did a really jazzy version
Yeah.
of that theme song. So, is that good to play us out, or did you have a request that you wanted to pick?
No, whatever you want to play. There's one thing when you talk about that, they were having when we were. I guess that's one of the short story.
Okay.
I went with my daughter-in-law, I got two Irishmen. I got my McGann, and I have an O'Brien. Alan married an O'Brien, okay. And so there was a little theater in Newport, and they had Jesus Christ, Your Superstar. You know, they had the play there. And I was there, and it was done so beautifully. All of a sudden, with the cross, you know, he was coming down the aisle with the cross, you know, with going down up in this thing. And I says, isn't that wonderful? The meaning, isn't that wonderful what they were doing, how they performed it? They said, sure, you're Jewish. You care if he's on the cross with his nails there. So that was the story. It was so funny. So that's it.
Well, again, I really do appreciate you being on the show today. This was nice. We should do this again sometime.
Yes.
Or, you know what we should do? Sometimes.
When I'm not this tired, I can think of something else.
Well, you know what I do sometimes, too, is I actually will record stuff like with my phone when we're out. So maybe when we go out and see the show, we can chat some more and put that up, too.
That would be nice.
Awesome.
That'd
Well,
be
thanks
very-
again. I appreciate it and hope everything works out, getting everything at your house all situated.
It'll work out. I'm sure it will. Thank you. It's
right.
been nice. Yeah.
Well, once again, folks, this is Bobby K playing us out. And thanks again, Esther. Appreciate your time.